Ladies and gentlemen, members of PhilExport, good afternoon. On behalf of the Industry Solutions Consulting Sector of NRI Manila Branch, I'm grateful to be with you this afternoon, albeit online, and I do apologize for not being with you presently in person, but I hope this recording will suffice. My name is Jonas Dumdum, and I am asked by PhilExport to talk to you about sustainability reporting in the Philippines. But before anything else, we'd like to introduce ourselves. We're from Nomura Research Institute, Singapore Manila branch. So we're part of the NRI group that has its headquarters in Tokyo, Japan. Its Southeast Asian headquarters is in Singapore. That's why we have that, NRI Manila branch. So what we've been here, however, since 1997, and we've been working with Japanese and non-Japanese companies in the Philippines uh, for solutions, in the field of management consultancy. So we follow this idea of dreaming up the future, meaning that we create new values, not just for our clients and our company clients, but also to society through what we believe is the approach of navigation and solutions. And across various sectors, we've been present in the Philippines, from automotive all the way to government, looking into six major components. The sixth being sustainability consulting, or the last one, which we've developed since 2022 here in the Philippines. So we are a member of various, uh, I guess, uh, recognitions and awards. The last or the most latest being that we are a member of Time World's Most Sustainable Companies in 2024. We're ranked eighth in the world. So that's me. Been working in the sustainability space for about this would actually be my sixth year. But I've been working in NRI for about 3 years, and I'm basically the one of the leads, for sustainability for Nomura here in the Philippines. Now, I'd like to address one thing about sustainability. That sustainability is a relatively new concept. If we look at this timeline that we show on this slide, we see that even before sustainability was given its concrete definition in 1987, we've had laws heading towards the protection of the environment and the advancement of Philippine society. Um, from the Forestry Code of the Philippines all the way to, well, the adoption of what would be the updated sustainability reporting guidelines. And if we're talking about corporate ESG in the Philippines, now, even though it's been more of an alignment with corporate firms that are publicly listed, however, we really see that there's an effort to disclose reporting um, of non-financial or sustainability metrics and also the targets, for quite some time now. The first documented report was with Manila Water, um, and eventually the rest of the world or the rest of the Philippine corporate business world follow suit. Um, and hopefully we will be addressing more of these standards in the future, which would include not just the not just the publicly listed companies, but also ones that are considered large or medium sized by the SEC, or ones that are required by their supply chain to disclose. So what is sustainability in the first place? The official definition of sustainability in the global sense really started in 1987. The only problem with the definition here, and that's the one on the left, meaning the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, is that it's quite difficult to make it more actionable. So if you notice, there's no way that we can gauge a KPI out of that, no way to really create a sustainability metric out of that, and it becomes a problem for businesses on how to really implement sustainability in the broader sense. So since then, there have been multiple definitions in sustainability, and the most recent definition of sustainability came from the International Financial Reporting Standards Foundation, the ones that basically are set the backbone of our um, accounting standards here in the Philippines, where the ones that are highlighted in bold letters in the middle really kind of show that there is a connection between companies' resources and the relationships to really look into impacts, how it's connected or interconnected with other items that we can be seen in a company's operations and supply chain, no, over a short, medium, and long term. And ultimately, the goal is to preserve, develop, and eventually regenerate, these resources to achieve a company's goals. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, why do we have the definition on the right, which is the ISO definition of ESG? Well, um, sustainability as a definition actually has a different meaning now compared to ESG, and ESG is a relatively younger uh, term, and it was first founded in 2004. But the latest definition from ISO is clear. It's a strategic and operational framework to assist organizations to implement and report on their activities, products, and services, and commitment to support. Uh, and and it just means that uh, ESG is a wider umbrella compared to sustainability. And if we're going to also factor in CSR into all of this, CSR actually is a smaller umbrella than sustainability. So, what it means technically then is that when we talk about ESG, it's not necessarily equal to sustainability, unlike so many other Filipinos would believe. No? So there's a misconception that sustainability is ESG. Um, and you'll probably be right about that because sustainability came in first before ESG. So people tend to mix and mix, uh, match both um, definitions or those words, with a single definition. However, there are certain things that ESG addresses where sustainability cannot address. So, for example, data privacy, not part of sustainability, but is part of ESG. Um, uh, Looking at it from both financial and non-financial perspectives is part of ESG, where sustainability is really more of impact rather than financials. And also, um, in terms of definitions for environmental and social goals, no, sustainability is more clearer than ESG, simply because it's a smaller umbrella, if you will, compared to ESG. So, if you're looking at, okay, why do we really need to disclose non-financial or sustainability related matters? And we've had some conversations on this. No, for the corporate sector, the large companies, publicly listed, even like very large multinationals. So even though the motivation is really more of well, the first part here, regulatory compliance, you notice that there's also like an alignment to investor interest, which is uh, part of their stakeholder groups, um, alignment with other strategies from other countries, also stakeholder expectations. Um, for example, local communities may expect something that is needed to take action by that company, and so on. No? And the way that they would approach the agenda is through reporting, advocacies, stakeholder management, and efforts, to address issues such as climate and disaster risk and community development. For small, medium, and micro enterprises, it's upon our questioning, it's really more about trying to apply sustainability as a way to access better market conditions and encourage further investment. So, the smaller you are, the more likely that you're doing this because you really want to enter new markets. And in particular, no, as exporters, you want to have that edge if you're going to go with doing sustainability disclosures. So the way that it's being done in MSMEs is really more of social innovation, collaboration with big companies like a little brother, big brother approach. Working with either government or international agencies for through grants and loans, and also working with industry associations to align those objectives as a whole. Now, if you're probably wondering, is it the Philippines that's just doing it because it needs to do it? Now, a comparison of laws between the Philippines and other similar economies in Southeast Asia show that we're not alone in this requirement. Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam have their own regulations on sustainability as well. And the end point of all of this is what we call sustainability reporting, defined by the Securities and Exchange Commission as the practice of reporting publicly on its significant economic, environmental, and/or social impacts. So it's really about that set of disclosures. We're right now, according to Philippine law, we're guided by the sustainability reporting guidelines of publicly listed companies, or what we call MC. In sustainability practice, we call it MC4 2019. So this is where the requirement of sustainability reporting really started here in the Philippines, and it started with publicly listed companies because, of course, they would have that capability of building up those systems if they want, if they really need to. So the way that it's reported in the Philippines, at least, is through four ways. Now we have the template that was given by the SEC when they released the memorandum circular. That's on the left. There's what we call a standalone sustainability report, highlighted by this report in 2022 by Soler or Bloomberg Resorts in its corporate name. The annual and sustainability report, which is the combination of your annual report filing to the SEC with the sustainability section um, into one big report, although those two are still separate now. And this is seen in the ASR, we call it, um, for Security Bank in the financial year 2021. And then we have the integrated report where both the annual and sustainability reports are combined into one giant report and no longer divided into sections. The example here is the integrated report of the Avoitis Group. So, in terms of disclosures, so if you want to see how it's done in the Philippines in terms of um, uh, an annual cycle, no. Um, Usually, a lot of companies would start reporting their data about fourth quarter of each year, and then they go on in creating their reports until we reach April 15, which is the deadline for such submissions to the SEC. Then, um, after the submission, of course, they're going to submit similar reports to their shareholders or their stakeholders before they focus on, okay, how to enhance or how to improve their sustainability commitments or how to achieve those sustainability commitments until such time that the cycle continues again. So, in terms of standards, the first four standards are actually the most important, plus the UN SDGs for sustainability reporting in the Philippines. No, the most popular, I guess, of the standards, or the most foundation of the standards, is what we call the GRI, or Global Reporting Initiative Standards. And honestly, it's quite long. It's 800 plus pages if you read from it from back to back, I think. But if you're going to have a copy, that you get to see what's inside um, a sustainability disclosure at its very foundation. So, one requirement of the GRI standards and actually sustainability reporting in general is to have your materiality assessments done. And I put forward the various definition for materiality, both in the GRI sense and also in other organizations, I mean, that includes the SEC. And what's really important is, for at least for our context, is the one that came from the SEC, the one that determines which relevant topics are sufficiently important that that it is essential to report on them. So there are two ways that you do sustain materiality assessments. Now there's the single materiality or impact materiality, which is really more of looking at how environmental and social issues affect operations in the supply chain. The more advanced way of doing it is the double materiality, where companies are being asked to not just look at environmental and social issues uh, towards company performance, no, and it also looked at company performance in terms of the financial aspect, meaning how is each material topic impacting um, the way that the company generates revenue. Another important aspect of sustainability reporting is stakeholder management or um, stakeholder development, where you're able or you're supposed to, as much as possible, have these conversations between the company and your important stakeholders and to see what their needs are so that you can address them and become a better business, essentially. Another standard that we look towards is what we call an industry specific standard. And the SASB standards is the best example of them. No? They have specific metrics, targets, and proposed material topics for a particular industry. And if you're going to go to the website for SASB, you can download one for your industry if they already have it. Lastly, we also look at theme specific standards. And the best example of it, at least according to MC4 2019, is the TCFD recommendations. And it's really more about how does climate change, your particular theme in this case, impacting the company's way of operating things, how are how is it impacting the financial bottom line and so on and so on. So kind of like to put in an illustration of how climate change can impact a company business. It looks into uh, the risks associated to operating your company and also its financial impacts, through the what you'd see eventually in your balance sheet and income statement, especially in cases where you have severe floods or you're hit by a typhoon. So this kind of disclosure um, helps inform the reader of those risks, and eventually you can find ways to uh, address them. So in the future, we'll definitely be looking at more sustainability reporting requirements. Hopefully by 2025, it would be already ready. The SEC is just doing its review on it, and soon, other companies that are not publicly listed would be required to align with sustainability reporting standards under a new standard called the IFRS sustainability standards. No? In a way, if you're going to look at your disclosures, it should be in the matter in line with the four pillars that you see here, namely governance, strategy, risk management, and risk metrics and targets. And what they're saying right now in government is that this might be implemented in about 2026 or 27. And we're just waiting really for the direction of the SEC on this one. Now, you're probably wondering, because you're all exporters, a lot of you probably are coming are exporting your goods to Europe, how is it compared to uh, the three European, I would like to call the three European sustainability standards? Now, the corporate sustainability reporting directive, the corporate sustainability due diligence directive, and also the EU carbon border adjustment mechanism. So you'd be surprised that the requirements being set by Philippine companies for the sustainability disclosure are quite similar to what's being asked by the EU, for their sustainability reporting. Of course, the EU has more specific standards, and we can have this conversation actually in another time. And how I wish I could be with you this afternoon to explain more about it. But the essentially the alignment is really seen in three major areas: environmental disclosures, workforce related data, and business conduct. So if you want to start your sustainability disclosure process right now, then it would be good to start to align with both the with the Philippine set of requirements and the European set of requirements, and hopefully you can start to address. So because there's so many standards we need to address, there may be some other things that you get to see on your own. If you're going to look at it online, there's a lot of acronyms out there. We actually call it as an alphabet soup. But to align your sustainability reporting standards and your disclosures, you really need to understand what are the things that each standard is being asked. Sorry, what are the metrics that each standard is asking, and how it can be applied to your operations, value chain, and risk management. Another is that there may be more than one standard that you need to disclose. So it's really more of an alignment. Okay, which of those standards have an overlap and can be therefore um, disclosed together, so that it could be easy here for you to make those alignments. And then you link those indicators that you see, on company performance. How does it link to your overall objectives as a company for development and then your long-term strategy? And how do you intend to act on all of this? So, or in all of those things that I've mentioned, we kind of boil it down to five questions. So first is basically who does what, who in the company is addressing matters of ESG. Next is what is deemed important, and it's really the review of your priority list of material topics. Next is who is impacted by each identified activity through engagements with your stakeholders. But where is the impact coming from and leading to, which is the creation of KPIs? And how do you measure success in maximizing positive impact through metrics and targets? And if you're confused as to what you need to prioritize, for exporters, I would highly suggest that you look at the foundation standards and frameworks that you see in this table, in this illustration, before you look into, like, say, government-based regulations, and then go up to sector-specific and climate and biodiversity-specific standards. And then if you're more advanced, or if you really want to go more higher and higher and higher, you can also do that now through other frameworks and also metrics for ESG ratings, particularly if you're required to do so for CDP supply chain. That's something that you might want to also consider in your disclosures. That's another topic, I'm afraid. But what it just means is that the supply chain questions might be asked by, uh, your client to you for disclosure on matters related to, let's say, climate change, water, or biodiversity. So, but really, the most important part are the ones that are on the bottom, and then you work your way up. So, this is technically my last slide. I'd like to just share a piece of thought on the matter of sustainability from Nick Joaquin, where essentially what he's telling us is that kung hindi tayo kikilos ngayon, sino ba talagang kikilos? No? And also, be mindful that if you're going to do sustainability, uh, the ones on, I mean, if you look at the map of the Philippines at night, yeah, I hope that you would remind yourself that you're doing this not just for the business that you own, but also uh, for the Filipino people, or basically the ones that have those lights at night. Because if you don't do it, mm, if you don't make an effort already to do sustainability, um, ultimately, who the biggest loser will be the Filipino people. For more information about how to start your sustainability reporting journey, or to how to really start your sustainability journey in general, um, you may contact me through that QR code. You can also message me through my email address as displayed on the slide, and also yeah, feel free to message me on LinkedIn if you want to, or through my mobile. So again, on behalf of NRI Manila branch, we'd like to thank Phil Export for this opportunity to be with you this afternoon, and hopefully in future events I may be able to see you all in person. Um, yeah, so magandang hapon po at mabuhay.